Welcome back to another episode of Rock Boys Football. Taking a look at a Carolina Panthers NFL mock draft. We will be doing all 7 rounds. This is a very fun team to mock with. When you take a look at quarterback needy teams, this is one of the more intriguing teams for a quarterback to find a landing spot in because they have a good offensive line. Like you take a look at Ike Ekwonu, Taylor Moore, and solid tackles. They can run the football very well. DJ Moore started looking really good. If I'm a rookie quarterback, this is a great spot to land and develop. Obviously, with the hiring of Coach Reich, I think this is a very intriguing spot, and I think the Panthers will be looking to take a first-round quarterback. Now, before we get into it, I just want to say thank you to you guys, especially like the NFL individual fans. We do a lot of work on scouting these college prospects. You all know your team's better than us, and we do appreciate all the support, all the feedback, all the comments that you guys have provided. And again, if you do enjoy the content, learning about these college prospects, consider subscribing to the channel. We appreciate you. This is why we do it. The discussion around the NFL draft is what is most fun about the NFL draft. And again, if you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing to the channel. We're going to take this one really slow to kind of see how this shakes out. Obviously, the Carolina Panthers picking at 9. I think they're looking to maybe trade up and jump their Vegas Raiders. And we're just going to see how this works. We'll take a pause. Maybe after the first 5 picks, Bryce Young going 2 to the Texans. That makes a lot of sense. Will Anderson, Colts probably take a quarterback here. Seattle hopefully not taking a quarterback. And if they don't take a quarterback, this is where I think the Panthers probably trade up with. So you're offering that 6 for your 9, and then we'll give them maybe a round 2 next year. That might be a little too much, and we'll let the GMs figure out the trade value a little bit more. But I want to get the Panthers up 2-6. And let's take Will Levis. Now, Will Levis is a guy that he's a very polarizing prospect. I like him. He's my quarterback 3, but it's not that much of a separation from Bryce Young, CJ Stroud, and Will Levis. And if you want to hear more of my takes on the quarterback situation in the player rankings, go check out that video. We spent a lot of time discussing Will Levis. But in short, Will Levis has all the talent in the world, and I get the consistency was an issue. We're going to pause this while I'm talking Will Levis real quick. Will Levis is a dude that he has a rocket arm. He's a very good athlete, and he's big. And that kind of checks all the 3 boxes of what NFL teams are looking for. And obviously, the consistency was a problem in the 2022 season, playing with turf toe, playing with the banged-up shoulder. His 3 leading targets on Kentucky were two true freshmen and a transfer. And so the offensive line was really bad in terms of pass protection. They could not really run the football. That was a very hard spot for Will Levis to succeed in. And I think that's why you saw some miscommunications on Russ. I think that's why you saw some overthrows. But you also saw a lot of splash throws and a lot of really impressive throws. And as the years go on and I'm evaluating quarterbacks, I want quarterbacks who are gamers, and I want quarterbacks who can extend plays outside of the pocket. You look at all the quarterbacks that are having all this success in the NFL, Josh Allen, Patrick Mahomes, Jalen Hurts, even Joe Burrow to an extent, are guys that they're not killing people with processing like the Peyton Mannings and the Tom Brady's. They're getting outside the pocket. They're letting their wide receivers have a little bit more time to create downfield, and they're finding open guys. And Will Levis is a junkyard dog when it comes to figuring out ways to extend plays. He is extremely hard to bring down. He's basically a tight end running the football with the arm talent to make any throw an NFL team will ask. Now, will there be an adjustment period for Will Levis? I believe so. But if you put Will Levis on Tennessee or put him on Ohio State with the offensive line that those guys had, with the wide receiver play those guys had, I think you're looking at Will Levis putting up very similar numbers to guys of CJ Stroud. And that's why I'm such a fan of Will Levis. The numbers weren't great at Kentucky, especially in 2022, but that team was horrible, especially when you compare them to the other SEC defenses they were playing. They could not pass protect for Will Levis. They could not run the football. And these receivers, although they were talented, they were young and they were inexperienced. I think Will Levis is a lot better of a player than he put on film just because it was so hard to look good on film. Now, we're going to speed this draft process up a little bit. Just wanted to talk about what potentially the Carolina Panthers could be doing because, again, this is not a bad roster. They won a lot of games with Sam Darnold, P.J. Walker, Baker Mayfield. This was one of the more impressive teams with really poor quarterback play. I don't think the Carolina Panthers owners, I don't think the fans want to wait another year where they're struggling with really, really bad quarterback play. Carolina Panthers now picking at 39. There's a lot of different spots they could go to, kind of taking a look at their depth chart, what they might need. We kind of fixed the quarterback situation. I don't think wide receiver is as big of a need as many people think, just because I think DJ Moore's a stud. I think Terrace Marshall's making some inroads. Maybe you could look at kind of a slot guy, and I think this NFL draft class is really conducive to slot guys. Jalen Hyatt's a very interesting pick as well. I'd maybe look kind of edge defenders too. I think there's a little bit of a fall off. I want to take a look at this cornerback class just because it might not be the biggest need, but I think this is from an like more of the scouting side of things. This is such a good position group. I mean, you're getting Kelee Ringo, a guy who's 6'2", 210 pounds. He's going to run a 4.3 40. All the traits in the world. A little bit stiff in terms of man coverage, but can run with any of those big wide receivers. There's just so much to like about Kelee Ringo. Yeah, I think he needs a little bit of work, but I think he's a guy that can be a legit lockdown cornerback in the NFL, especially if he fixes some of those problems with the stiffness. Again, it's really hard. He looks like a linebacker out there, but the talent, the length, the long speed, it's all something you absolutely love from that cornerback spot. I think he'd be worth a pick, especially when you're talking about like late second round or early second round, late first round. Jalen Hyatt here at 64. This is maybe where you pull the trigger. NFL teams value speed in a big way. Do I have concerns about Jalen Hyatt? Yes. In that Tennessee offense, he was running a lot of stacks. He wasn't dealing with a lot of press coverage. We know he can run. He might run sub 4.3. He might be high 4.29s, like game-breaking speed. He couples that with being able to track the ball extremely well. And now Will Levis throws a great deep ball. I think Jalen Hyatt would be a guy that can kind of keep safeties off the line of scrimmage a little bit. You have to respect the speed, and that allows you to run the football a little bit more. Jalen Hyatt, late round 2, this is where I like him more. I've been seeing a lot of mocks with him going late first round, early second round. I think that's a little rich for Jalen Hyatt. But late second round, when you have a chance to get a guy with game-breaking speed who can track the football at a high level, I think that's where you probably take a stab at him. The one position group I wish we kind of could have addressed is the edge rusher. That's a position group that outside of Will Anderson, outside of Myles Murphy, outside of Tyree Wilson, I don't think it's very strong. You can take a look at the edge rushers now. There definitely is a little bit of a drop-off. And when you use that first-round pick to take someone like Will Levis, you're not really KJ Henry. Okay, KJ Henry I absolutely love. Carolina Panther fans, if you want like a early day 3, late day 2 pick, KJ Henry is so good. He's a former 5-star recruit, athletically extremely gifted, has dealt with injuries at Clemson, but he put it all together. I want to just kind of talk about what you saw from him. He was an extremely impressive 2022 film watch. He went down in the bowl game, but man, I'm going to pull up my notes on him because he was truly a special and fun guy to watch at Clemson. Say 6'4", 260 pounds. Struggles a little bit against the run, but in terms of a pass rusher, 34 hurries, 14 QB hits. He has extremely good hands. He's a fifth-year senior, and you can tell he's a fifth-year senior. He's NFL ready right now. Clemson does a phenomenal job developing their defensive linemen. You're coupling an elite athlete at 6'4" with good length and explosiveness off the line of scrimmage. He can win outside, but he also does a really good job getting his hands on tackles and going right through them as well. KJ Henry is I have him as a top 50 player, so getting him as a pick at pick 93 is an absolute steal in my opinion. Now I think you might be looking for linebacker. You just got your edge rusher. Running back's an interesting one too. We might have missed. Take a look at the running back class because this is about where I like him. A guy like Zach Evans, Eric Gray. Eric Gray is phenomenal. He is a guy who can catch out of the backfield extremely well. I think he's the most shifty player, maybe outside of Jahmyr Gibbs in this draft class. You have Bijan Robinson, who's like the clear RB1. Eric Gray's my RB2. RB3 after Jahmyr Gibbs. Eric Gray in space is so silky smooth. He makes second-level defenders miss with ease. He's also very good out of the backfield. And again, when you're trying to look at how to get some juice out of that running back room after trading Christian McCaffrey, I think Eric Gray makes a lot of sense. He can catch the ball out of the backfield. He put on some weight from his last year at Oklahoma to this year, so he runs the ball a little bit harder as well. Eric Gray is if I was the Panthers GM, and this is how I felt, all my favorite players are falling to the Carolina Panthers right now. This would be a phenomenal draft, in my opinion. Pick 132. Maybe take a look at the linebackers now. This is kind of the area where I like to take a look at linebackers. Owen Popo from Auburn, I like a lot. Henry To'oTo'o, I like a lot. Mohamed Diabate, I like a lot. This seems a little rich. Maybe let's take a look at these wide receivers as well. Xavier Hutchinson, Raheem Jarrett. Raheem Jarrett's an interesting guy. in terms of maybe putting him in the slot. Xavier Hutchinson, I like. I don't know. Nothing extremely standing out to me here. Take a look at the big board overall. Peyton Wilson. Derek Parrish is an interesting one as well. Yeah, we'll go linebacker. We'll go linebacker. No, nobody's really jumping out to me at this age right here, at pick 132. Owen Popo, he's another former 5-star. He's a little bit undersized, but he flies around the football field. He's dealt with injuries, but when he's healthy, I like his game a lot. Ivan Pace is another guy I like a lot. We're going to go Owen Popo from Auburn. Bet on the traits a little bit. He's a guy that never really was healthy at Auburn, but when he was healthy, he's extremely explosive. He lays the absolute wood on people. I like his game a lot. I want to take a look at the wide receiver and maybe take a stab at maybe a tight. Not really. I know Carolina wants a tight end. After those top 5 guys, and I feel like there's some more important positions for the Panthers to address. I'll take a look at their depth chart here. Yeah. Let's take a look at this wide receiver room. I mean, Shi Smith from South Carolina, I liked coming out of South Carolina, but I think you could add some juice to that room. And Rakeem Jarrett's another 5-star. And I do a lot of work with high school recruiting, so I do remember these guys as high school recruits. Rakeem Jarrett's a guy that has a ton of juice, especially with the ball in his hands. Now I feel like I'm just taking PFF's big board, but we're going to go Rakeem Jarrett at 147. Again, a guy that was being talked about as a day 1 pick heading into the year. Maryland did not have a good year. Tua Tagovailoa struggled a little bit. Tua's little brother, the quarterback at Maryland. Offense didn't click as much as you would have liked. Maybe you can. We'll see what's falling here. I would like to add maybe a safety or two. I mean, you take a look at Xavier Woods. I feel like there could be an upgrade with Xavier Woods, or at least some more depth into that room. Let's see if anyone's jumping. Yeah, DeMarco Hellams. DeMarco Hellams is very good. Yeah, we're gonna get Hellams at 214 or at 187. You trust the Alabama guys. Alabama players or prospects come to the league NFL ready. And Hellams isn't a guy you're seeing him fall to day 3 because he's not the best athlete in the world, but he's a damn good football player. He's going to produce on special teams as well. I think that'd make a lot of sense there. One more pick at 228. There's some guys I actually really, really do like in round 7. I want to take a look and see if this guy's here. He might not be. We'll see. Carlton Martial, there he is. That's a lot. Carlton Martial, he's a guy that he's played 5 years at Troy, 570 tackles, over 50 tackles for a loss. You won't find a more productive linebacker across the country over the last half decade, and a lot of these guys are old because of the COVID year, than Carlton Martial. Yes, he's falling to this late because, again, not a hyper athlete like the Trenton Simpsons and the Noah Sewells at the top of the board. But at that linebacker position, I value just being good at the position, being able to diagnose plays, having good instincts. And I think Carlton Martial checks all those boxes. And I think for that reason, it makes a lot of sense to take a stab at him. And again, even if he's not a starting linebacker, this is round 7. You're taking pick 223. If he just makes the 52-man roster here, 53-man roster, and plays special teams, I think that's a win as well. And get a guy on a rookie deal. That makes a lot of sense. That's kind of why I like taking linebackers late, because again, even if they're not starting, they're playing special teams. They're producing on those rookie deals. I think it makes a lot of sense. And Carlton Martial could be kind of a diamond in the rough. PFF gives me did I just get an A+? No, I didn't get an A+. What was my total grade? An A. That's the highest grade I've ever gotten at PFF. I did follow their board a little chalky, which I don't love doing, but Will Levis at pick 6 I think it's a good pick, and let's get some hope for Carolina. Will Levis needs some work, but I think the ceiling is very high with this dude. Keely Ringo at pick 39. He was a guy that was getting mocked in the top 10. He started the process off as quarterback 1 on my board. Dropped him a little bit because I don't think the 2022 film was great. Jalen Hyatt at pick 61, I love. I don't love Jalen Hyatt inside the first round. I don't love Jalen Hyatt inside probably the top 40. When it gets to 61, I think it's worth taking a stab at the speed. If you were running this back, there's guys like Josh Downs, there's guys like Zay Flowers or Tank Dell who I think could fit in really well as kind of that slot wide receiver for Carolina that you could take a look at. Jalen Hyatt played a lot of his reps from the slot, but he's more of a deep threat guy that uses his speed. KJ Henry is probably my favorite pick of this draft. Him and Eric Gray. I think we did a very good job between picks 93 and 114. Owen Popo, I like him, and especially at pick 132, it makes a little bit more sense. There's some linebackers I like more than Owen Popo, but again, taking him there, I think makes a lot of sense. Raheem Jarrett, again, a guy with high upside who can kind of play that slot wide receiver position that we talked about. We wish we got with a guy like Josh Downs and Zay Flowers. DeMarco Helms and Carlton Marshall to round it out. This is probably the most, the happiest I've been with a team mock draft yet. I think we absolutely crushed it, to be honest with you. I did one for my Buffalo Bills earlier. Didn't really play out the way you want, and that happens. We'll probably be running back a couple more Carolina Panthers ones because it's a team I like. It's a team I'm rooting for, and it's a team that I want to see go get a quarterback. So again, appreciate you guys for checking this out. If you do enjoy the content, consider subscribing. We're doing a lot of position rankings. We're doing a lot of full first-round mock drafts. And again, the support you guys have shown truly does mean a lot. So we'll talk to y'all later. Peace.